Hello YouTube, hello USA, and hello world. This is Keenan Dunham. I salute you. I'm doing another video on my presidential campaign for 2016. Basically, this one's going to be about biodome multi-story farming. In particular, I want to talk about the added benefit of making multi-story buildings that are biodome farms for the United States and for other countries. When I aid a country as President of the United States, starting when I'm president, I don't want to just give monetary aid. If a country is having a crisis, then I definitely want to help them. But one scientific solution I've come up with is to have multi-story buildings that have biodome farming in them. And I'm a scientist myself. I have studied all sorts of sciences and at the college level. I believe that we need scientific solutions, not ideologies. And with biodome farming, I think that we should have multi-story buildings to save land space so that we saved from deforestation, the land. And also I want to build farms for countries that need help with food so that they can sustain themselves for long periods of time. And it's a way to get off giving constant aid to countries so that they can produce for themselves. Also, that produces jobs for the local citizens of other countries. That's how I approach helping other countries. I think that the United States should be mainly focused on its nearest allies, Mexico and Canada. And as far as helping countries, I think we need to help Mexico the most, constantly, to make them our best partner. But any country I would still help, out in the world. We need to have multi-story biodome farming as a tool in our toolbox of scientific methods, in addition to our repertoire to help countries and our scientific repertoire in the United States. That, if we're going to help countries, we need to use all the techniques available. And this particular technique can save forests, such as in Brazil. If it's done, then landmass does not have to be used, and we save the rainforest. This particular scientific technique can save land space anywhere it's done. And even a standing building that's already there that can be adapted to this is a parking garage. That could really save the world if we reduce our use of land space for farming. And biodome farming is done in Japan near schools so that children receive fresh food. The food does not have to be transported as far, and it's fresh food, and it's local food. It's very self-sufficient to have biodome farming. And then multi-story biodome farming saves land space, and it can be done in any climate environment, so that you also can have those in arid climates. I think we need to look for the best answers, the most ambitious answers to help countries. And as a libertarian, I don't want to give just monetary aid. I want to get people and countries out of bad situations with many scientific and creative ideas, which I'm very good at. If you look at my YouTube videos, I'm a Mensa certified genius. I have an high IQ, and I'm in the High IQ Society Mensa. I'm really trying hard and digging deep to help people in the United States with scientific answers. And many times that's in scientific industries, high tech, that particularly solar and hemp. Unleashing those industries on the United States without red tape would cause millions of jobs and trillions of dollars in added revenue to the United States. And I want to be our leader for that. I run my campaign in executive style, and I'm also doing activist work all the time. That's how I'll run for president and how I'll be president in 2017 if I'm elected in 2016. We need to unleash the science that we have to its maximum capacity. So when you have something like biodome multi-story farming, you save land mass by having it, and then you need to build it on a high level and repeat the process so that we become good at building them. I want to bring this as another tool in a repertoire to help the United States and other countries. The same with solar. We need lots of solar panels built for the entire world, and the United States is such a technological leader. We want those jobs in the United States building solar panels. We want all countries building solar panels and to be self-sufficient in that. And each state really in the United States would benefit by having solar panel production facilities in their state, so they become self-sufficient, and then putting up panels and having them available at a cheap rate until we have such a good grid in the United States that we have a surplus of electricity. We have such a huge land mass that we can have one of the best grids in the world if we do complete inundation of all green energy sources. And I'm going to have a packaged plan to build facilities that are adaptable, that are all three solar, wind, and geothermal, and then the facilities are custom made for an area, for a place in the United States, wherever that may be, for which type of green energy benefits and would work the best for that area: solar, wind, and or geothermal. And I want to build them and then sell them to private companies to own and run, or and I can use federally owned land for this. Want to have an adaptable program that either builds them and then sells them to be leased off the land. I'm not going to sell federal land, and I'm definitely not going to use national parks. I want to have an adaptable libertarian style plan to build up our energy grid in the United States, that we can either build them by the state and then sell them, or lease the land and have the companies build to our specifications, build to the government's regulated specifications. Whichever one will get them up faster, basically. I want to get these up fast so that they can produce jobs in the United States. And I think about huge scale initiatives like this that multiply their benefit, because an inundation of solar and geothermal and wind creates a huge grid that makes energy cheaper. Residents use a tenth or less of commercials' electricity power, so their bills should be very cheap for electricity if we really built to maximum capacity. And then commercial development will have cheap electricity, so that they save on that overhead in that state, which will produce jobs for each state that has one of my facilities. Then we want to increase our grid so that we're selling electricity to other countries and have a great grid in the United States. And we're independent, so we're independent on energy, so we don't have to trade in energy, so we get out of those debacles that are causing harm to the world, particularly oil, right? The oil trade. And all countries can do the same thing to become independent on energy. And then I look at something like the biodome multi-story farming. We want an inundation in the United States, for example, to have cheap food. That's for all people. And all of these programs, not only green energy companies, but all energy companies, oil companies, should get involved in those businesses to make a stable system of energy or a stable system of farming that will save the world. Basically, those two right there, energy and food, are something that need to be built on industrial levels. And I'm just adding to the repertoire. I'm trying to come up with more scientific ways to add to our repertoire in industry for farming and energy. Basically, I'm looking at resources that people need, and I'm going to aid the United States and the world. Thank you very much, and please look at my YouTube videos, and please donate to my campaign. Have a good day.